Why is the Japanese government flushing 1.25 million tons of wastewater into the Pacific Ocean? What impact will this decision have globally? It can be affected the Pacific Ocean. Can the water be treated by TEPCO? The story so far, Japan is expected to start flushing 1.25 million tons of wastewater from the embattled Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean this year, as part of a $76 billion project to decommission the facility. The project received the Japanese cabinet's approval in 2021 and could take 3 decades to complete. The idea, which experts and officials in Japan had floated in 2016, has been controversial for its suspected impact on the water, marine life, fishers' livelihoods and other countries in the area. It has also received flak within Japan for sidelining other options and stoked concerns about the government's sincerity. Is the water a problem? In March 2011, after an earthquake of 9 magnitude, a tsunami flooded the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant in Akuma and damaged its diesel generators. The loss of power suspended coolant supply to reactors at the facility. The tsunami also disabled backup systems. Soon, radioactive materials leaked from reactor pressure vessels, exploded in the facility's upper levels, and exposed themselves to the ambient air, water, soil, and local population. Winds also carried radioactive material thrown up into the air into the Pacific. Since then, the power plant and its surrounding land have been uninhabitable. The water that the Japanese government wants to flush from the plant was used to cool the reactors, rainwater and groundwater. It contains radioactive isotopes from the damaged reactors and is thus itself radioactive. Japan has said that it will release this water into the Pacific Ocean over the next 30 years. Can the water be treated? The Tokyo Electric Power Company TEPCO, which operates the Fukushima facility, has said that it has treated the water to remove most radioactive isotopes. Former Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga said in 2021 that the water will be far above safety standards. His government required the water to have 1/40th as much tritium as the permitted limit. Officials have defended the plan, saying the TEPCO is running out of room for the water tanks and that nuclear plants around the world regularly release water containing trace amounts of radionuclides into large water bodies. There is no known threshold below which radiation can be considered safe. The Simons Chair in Disarmament, Global and Human Security at the University of British Columbia. Any discharge of radioactive materials will increase the risk of cancer and other known health impacts to those who are exposed. What if the water is released in a trickle? Smaller discharges will obviously help with the extent of the risk, if you measure, say, expected numbers of cancers that might result, but it wouldn't necessarily affect the impact on the reputations of fisher folk in the region, Dr. Ramana said. Experts expect the affected water to poison the fish. Anyone who knows this is happening will, or should, avoid eating fish caught in the vicinity of the discharge point. South Korea banned seafood imported from around Fukushima, to Japan's displeasure, from 2013. Another problem is that the TEPCO has not removed tritium from the water because this is very difficult to do so. Tritium is easily absorbed by the bodies of living creatures, and rapidly distributed via blood, Dr. Ramana said. In 2018, Kyodo News reported that there were other radionuclides in the water that the TEPCO's treatment procedure could not entirely remove. These include isotopes of ruthenium and plutonium, which could persist for longer in the bodies of marine creatures and on the seafloor. Other options for Japan's government. Some have asked why the Japanese government can't store the water for longer, and then discharge it. This is because tritium's half-life, the time it takes for its quantity to be halved through radioactive decay, is 12 to 13 years. The quantity of any other radioactive isotopes present in the water will also decrease in this time. Each isotope has its own half-life. So, at the time of discharge, the water could be less radioactive. The Japanese government has also declared land around the Fukushima facility to be uninhabitable. The 1,000 or so tanks to hold the water, each with a capacity of 1,000 meters cubed, can be situated here. But in 2020, authorities determined that flushing the water would be the way forward, over storage and vaporization. Lots of experts agreed or believed that. After visiting Fukushima in February 2020, the International Atomic Energy Agency IAEA officials also said the discharge would be technically feasible and would allow the timeline objective to be achieved. It can be affected the Pacific Ocean. There are concerns about the water body as well as the region. China, South Korea and Taiwan have expressed concerns over Japan's plan. A representative of the Pacific Islands Forum, the bloc of Oceania countries including Australia, has called it simply inconceivable based on their experience with nuclear contamination. Researchers have also called for more studies to understand the precise composition of each tank before it is flushed and for more details about the TEPCO's water treatment process. The National Institute of Marine Laboratories, a nonprofit group of more than 100 research centers across the United States, published a position paper in December 2022 excoriating the plan. The supporting data provided by the TEPCO and the Japanese government are insufficient and, in some cases, incorrect, with flaws in sampling protocols, statistical design, sample analyses, and assumptions. On the flip side, the Joe Biden government in the US voiced support for Japan's plan to discharge the water. Globally, effects of that. All nuclear accidents have global repercussions. The Fukushima Daiichi accident triggered an avalanche of public opposition to nuclear power worldwide, especially in Europe, diminishing its contribution to the clean energy power generation mix in Japan itself. The accident reduced nuclear power's contribution to electricity generation from 30% before 2011 to 5% in 2022. But the incumbent Fumio Kishida government has articulated plans to upgrade and restart older reactors and build new ones in response to the increasing cost of fossil fuels. However, both India and China doubled down on their domestic commitments. The then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh called nuclear energy an essential option for India's climate action and energy security. His successor, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has clarified that India plans to expand its nuclear power program with Russia's help. Then again, the accident also revived concerns about some existing nuclear power plants, especially the Department of Atomic Energy's Kudankulam Nuclear Power Plant (KKNPP) facility in Tamil Nadu. In October 2012, police arrested nearly 2,000 protesters after they attempted to march to the secretariat in Chennai against the KKNPP, in response to the Fukushima accident and what they said were parallels between the two sites. Ultimately, Japan is also concerned about its reputation. An official committee including scientists, consumers representatives and ministry officials wrote in a 2020 report, "It is important to dispose of the treated water as part of the decommissioning work, taking into account the reputational impact when the disposal method for the treated water is examined." Summary: Japan is expected to start flushing 1.25 million tons of wastewater from the embattled Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean this year, as part of a $76 billion project to decommission the facility. The project received the Japanese cabinet's approval in 2021 and could take 3 decades to complete. The water that the Japanese government wants to flush from the plant was used to cool the reactors, rainwater and groundwater. It contains radioactive isotopes from the damaged reactors and is thus itself radioactive. It will release this water into the Pacific Ocean over the next 30 years. China, South Korea and Taiwan have expressed concerns over Japan's plan. A representative of the Pacific Islands Forum, the bloc of Oceania countries including Australia, has called it simply inconceivable, based on their experience with nuclear contamination. I leave you for some images and videos of that incident, and we meet soon. Any other topic and issues with the best point of view. Till then, take care and be always happy in wonderful lovely life. Thank you for supporting.